Coming up now, it's an emotional moment when a woman comes face to face with her dead brother. We'll explain.
Also coming up, actor Nick Cage shares his earliest memory. It's something very few people have ever experienced.
And later, a 100-year-old World War II veterans receive his college diploma. Why he had to wait 60 years for it.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
And I'm Matt Doolittle in for Mitch English, who's out skiing with Carrot Top. Which I thought, I didn't know they were buddies like that. This time of year he's skiing with Carrot Top. Yeah.
Who knew? There is a new food trend. The fruit foodies are at it again.
Oh no.
Eating lemons whole with the peel.
Oh, with the peel?
Yes.
I know it's a health thing to eat lemons.
Yeah.
It's supposed to clean out your system, but with the peel?
With the peel.
Isn't the peel going to gunk you up?
They say there's something called a snack lemon, which is... Yes, specifically for eating the whole entire fruit. But some people, they forego the snack lemon. They just get the regular lemons. They eat them with a little salt. They eat the whole thing, peel and all, and they say it's the best thing ever.
Do people just get bored eating and start doing trends like this? They're like, you know what? I don't hate myself enough. I'm just going to eat a whole lemon.
I like lemon in my iced tea, but I've never thought of actually eating a whole lemon.
No, I get if you did it without the peel, but the peel's, you can't have the peel. You can't eat the lemon with the peel. No peel.
Thanks, Larry David. Well, the sister says she saw her brother's face for the first time after his death. This is a crazy story. It was transplanted onto someone else. 60 Minutes Australia covered the story about Richard Norris, who was severely disfigured following an accident in 1997. Well, he was only 22 years old at the time. Now, fast forward 15 years later, he was given a second chance after a family in Baltimore donated their 21-year-old son's face after he was run over by a car. The family heard about Norris and wanted to help carry out the first ever full face transplant. 3 years after the operation, Richard met the entire family. As you can imagine, it was a moment that they'll never forget.
That's a little freaky. But I'm glad that we got to the point where the face transplants actually look decent when they get done. Because remember those first few? It was like, I don't know about that. I don't know. It might be good the way I was.
I know.
That would just be really weird to see your brother come around the corner. Just be like, it's a little.
They say when you do something like a transplant, whether it's an organ transplant, obviously in this case a face transplant, that oftentimes characteristics from that particular person carry over into the new person who's been the recipient of those organs or...
It's got that vibe on it. You're taking a part of somebody that's going through you.
It's like a genetic makeup, right? Yeah. Have you watched that new documentary on Netflix about your healthy gut? About your gut health?
No.
Oh, it's a little bit crazy. But if you watch it, they talk about how there's a new procedure. I won't go into it because it's totally disgusting. But where you are taking a certain kind of supplement that comes from another individual to help reset your bacteria. But they're saying that when they do that, oftentimes they end up suffering from the same qualities as that person does, whether it's low energy or depression or high energy or something else. Yeah, it's fascinating.
I'm good.
The bacteria in your gut, yeah.
I mean, they do say gut health is a big thing. So, I mean, I try to clean it out, but then beer gets involved. And I don't know, that's good, right?
Upends the whole system.
Vodka clean it out, because then I'm clean as a whistle then. Actor Nicolas Cage, you got to say it like that, said his earliest memory was when he was inside his mother's womb. I love this guy. While most of us only have a hazy recollection of our time as a baby or toddler, the actor claims his memory goes back way further. It's hard to believe, but Cage thinks his first ever memory was being in utero. Yes, before he was even born, he recalled the moments while talking to Stephen Colbert and other bizarre Nicolas Cage news. The actor spent a lot of his formative years believing that he was an extraterrestrial, that's believable, and was actually shocked to find out that he was just a normal human. In an interview in 2022, Cage explained that his father felt like he had to introduce himself to him because Nick was such an alien. There's never a dull moment with Nicolas Cage, is there? I love Nicolas Cage stories. I have wanted to party with him for so long.
I was at a club where Nicolas Cage was one time, and he was dancing, and all over the dance floor, was in his own world.
You know what? I love that movie where Nicolas Cage played Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
When the extraordinary talent or something
you're
like that,
talking
the
about,
burden of
yes.
extraordinary talent or whatever. You know what
Yes.
I'm talking about? I loved that because I'm like, that's
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage had just played Nicolas Cage, and when he played that vampire, that was just as
Yeah.
good because that looks about right.
A perfect movie for him, for sure. A 100-year-old World War II vet thought he was going to a celebration for his 100th birthday at his alma mater, the University of Maryland. Instead, Jack Milton received the surprise of a lifetime, his long overdue graduation ceremony. During his career in the Air Force, Milton was awarded a Distinguished Flying Cross and flew combat missions in Vietnam. Milton had earned enough credits for his Bachelor of Arts diploma and was planning on walking the stage at graduation back in 1966, but before that could happen, he was deployed to Vietnam. He said it has always bothered him that he never got the chance to formally receive his diploma. So in 2010, the Miltons established a scholarship fund for volunteer caregivers of injured military service members. And of course, he, at the age of 100, finally got to walk the stage and receive his diploma.
It's a big deal when you work, you do all that work and everything,
Yeah.
and he's been sitting there waiting for you. You would have thought they would have done this a little earlier, though.
Yeah, right? I know.
It's not
exactly.
a paperwork snafu. It's like, grab
right.
him and get him on the stage. It's,
And look, at 100, the guy looks like he's doing great, but clearly, you're on the back end of life.
Oh,
So chop, chop. You
yeah,
gotta get
let's
this done
move this along, guys. Maybe pick it up a couple days.
sooner rather than later. Exactly. Former First Lady Michelle Obama went undercover to sign copies of her new book and shared footage of her covert operation at a Target store in St. Louis, Missouri. Mrs. Obama makes her way into the store wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses to sign copies of her new book. After signing 6 copies, the 60-year-old grabs a basket and does a lap around the store for some quick shopping. Her campus denied Michelle has any plans to step in and replace Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential nominee. In a 2022 interview, the former First Lady said she hates questions about running for office and claims she has no interest whatsoever in the job.
Interesting. She went to Target and not Walmart. I'm just saying. She knows her audience. I love it when these guys do it. The Rock just did it, where he just popped into the Target because they were selling some stuff, so they sign it. It's a cool little thing they do. I know Justin Timberlake was doing it with his last album or something. He was signing them and leaving them there. So
I
it's
like
cool.
when they go see their movies, like,
Yes.
and you don't know it, but they end up like on opening weekend. They'll go and sneak in and just kind of watch the crowd.
Yeah, I know Tom Cruise has said he does that.
Yeah.
He'll put on a disguise and go in. He can get around it, but it's like, if you're like Shaq, you're like, you can't really go in disguise.
Certain people can get away with disguises. Shaq definitely not one
Hey,
of them.
you Shaq? No, my name's Tim. No, it's not. You're Shaq. You're clearly Shaq. That wig's not scaring anybody. All right. Well, one TSA employee had a retirement send-off of a lifetime. This is Messi, an 8-year-old Labrador Retriever who worked as a screening canine at Reagan National outside of Washington, D.C. After faithfully executing his duties for many years, Messi was surprised by his handler, Peter, and some adoring fans with a special treat. Messi loves to wind down after a long day at work by chasing tennis balls. His end of duty occurred when his do not pet patch was removed, signaling the end of his life as a working dog. Messi will be adopted by his handler and enjoy retirement and an endless supply of tennis balls.
Good for him.
I love that. When they do these retirement ones, I saw another one over the weekend where they did a thing where they threw a bunch of tennis balls and the dog just went nuts running all over the place.
These dogs are so well loved and so well respected, and then by the time they retire, oftentimes they end up with their handlers, which is great.
My buddy Sean is a local police officer, and he had his dog Vader, who was the sweetest police dog ever. The thing was vicious when he took it out.
Yeah.
Like I saw him train with a couple words. That thing turned into a machine. But no, he adopted him and had him for about 5 years until he passed a couple years ago, and got a whole proper send off and everything.
Yeah.
So it's great when those animals get those types of send-offs because they work just as hard, if not harder, than the humans. And then, but he did get one dog once, which I was like, I'm not coming over to your house with that thing. That thing
No,
is nuts.
too dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, his one dog was great with the kid. The other one, not so much. It was a little.
We'll change topics here, but Unfrosted. We talked a little bit about the movie Unfrosted with Jerry Seinfeld. He directed B Movie a long time ago, but now he's got Unfrosted on Netflix. Have you seen it?
I loved it.
I did too.
There's a couple cameos I won't ruin, but
Yes.
Bill Burr as JFK was great. And then they pop in some other cultural references. They're like, I see what you did there.
Yes.
Jerry, I think, just opened up his Rolodex and made a few phone calls.
Yeah. We were watching it, and Alan said to me, he goes, who is not in this movie? It's crazy. And Hugh Grant plays an incredible Tony the Tiger.
Hugh Grant, and then they throw in they make a political reference in there, and you're like, oh come on, this is too good. Like even if no matter what side of the aisle, you're like, that's pretty good.
It's one of those movies where you could watch 2 or 3 times and not get everything because there's so many little subtle references throughout the whole thing.
It was a slow roll for me. Halfway through, I was like, and then when the Bill Burr thing kicked off, and then a couple other things hit, I was like, okay, this is pretty good.
It's just fun. It's colorful. It's entertaining. It's terrific.
You know that set must have been hilarious.
Oh my gosh, no doubt. Stay with us. We're back right after this. Welcome back to Daily Flash. A website is offering to pay a movie fan $2,000 to watch all of this year's Best Picture Oscar nominees and predict the outcome of the broadcast. TestCasinos.com announced a unique job opportunity for a cinephile willing to watch the 10 nominees for Best Picture, rate each movie, and predict the winners at this year's Academy Awards. The chosen candidate will receive $2,000, a new 65-inch 4K TV, and a $500 DoorDash gift card. Applications are being accepted now through March 9th.
I'm loving that. That'd be a fun job to have.
I feel like I've seen all those movies. Can I qualify for that?
Get you a TV and you're done, right? I'd like that. Looks like a passenger on a plane from Dubai was caught on camera headbutting a flight attendant, causing crew members to actually tackle him and restrain him with cable ties. The incident actually took place in the business class section of the Emiratis flight to Islamabad, thank you. In the clip, a tall, thin man is seen headbutting a male flight attendant who was holding him by his collar. Now, the crew members were forced to tie his legs together in an effort to restrain him. After the plane landed, the suspect was then tied to a wheelchair with his hands behind his back. Wow. The number of in-flight attacks has been on the rise since COVID. In 2023, it was at least one incident reported for every 568 flights. And you say 568 flights, but we're talking, that's a lot globally. You know, I mean, how many flights a day take off?
Have people just lost their minds on airplanes? What is happening?
The only thing I can attribute maybe some of that to is like, it's expensive to fly. I can give you that.
Yes.
So you think, well, I'm paying this big amount of money. I want to get everything that I want. If things don't go your way, plus there's a lot of stress that happens when it comes to travel. And I think people just forget, hey, you know what? Guess what? Everybody else in this thing is going through the same thing you're going through. So keep that in mind.
But I think there's this weird sense of entitlement.
Sure.
I think that people think if I don't get my way, I'm suing, and I'll get my way that way. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's reality television, but it has created this horrible behavior.
And knowing that there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
My favorite one of the late is the two guys that don't forget about, they're at the counter and they say, what about your dogs? What about your dogs, Macy and Shelby? Have you seen this?
No.
You got to Google this. It is hilarious. And he keeps going on, what about Shelby? Think about Shelby. Think about Shelby. It's hilarious. You got to definitely check it out. All right. All right. Well, according to a recent poll, 90% of Americans agree that we actually are experiencing a mental health crisis. And most often we actually treat the symptoms without looking deeper into the root causes of mental health concerns. So joining us right now is Bob Gardner. He is a freedom and transformation specialist with a fresh view on actually how to conquer stress, addiction, and anxiety. Bob, welcome to Daily Flash. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Your first point is actually, it's quite interesting. It's a question, what if there's really nothing wrong with you? Explain that.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, you got to remember, I came from a place where I was deeply addicted for 18 years, was suicidal, was depressed, and I was looking at the reality that all the things that I had tried hadn't worked, that I had spent all of this time and energy and money on things to sort of manage the symptom. And so I started turning the question around and going like, what if the fact that I'm experiencing misery is an indication that my body and mind are working properly, just with the wrong set of data? And that started a whole train of conversation in a different direction.
No, I totally, I can see where you're already headed. I can see the road where we're headed, where we're doing this, because that's what happens is our body takes over. Our body knows how to run itself, if you think about it. But explain, how does trauma actually begin and then end in the body? And can we actually remove it?
Yeah. So in the end, when I say what is trauma or what is addiction or what are all these other things, the question I was asking myself is, how do I know I have it?
Right.
And when that question is posed, immediately I start looking around and realizing, oh, wow, I'm dealing with my breathing is off. I have this gnarly feeling in my gut. My eyes are erratic. I feel uncomfortable, but it was all in my body. And I go, well, shoot, I don't experience that all the time. I don't experience trauma all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's only this thing in my body, what if I start working with my body and retrain it so that its reflex reaction to the environment is something totally different? And that's exactly what I did.
It seems like a lot of people actually, they look outwardly to find out what's wrong with them. Like something is causing this, like another person or the situation. And you're saying, well, look, maybe it's internal, and maybe if you can figure that out, it'll actually work its way through the body through this. Am I right in my estimation on that?
100%. And it's natural that we would look outside to blame stuff. We learned it. We watched other people doing it. We absorbed that by some sort of life osmosis, going, oh yeah, if I feel upset, you made me upset. But
Yeah.
the reality is, if I had been unconscious and they had done the same thing, I wouldn't have felt upsetness.
I
So
love that.
obviously, the consciousness is doing it.
I need to think more of like, what would I do if I was unconscious? That's how I need to start thinking. I like that. All right, how do we actually train ourselves to find that happiness on autopilot?
Yeah, that's where what I started with was, well, let me just start learning how to manage my mind and my body and my feelings on the inside in a way that I can move them in a direction of goodness, even when the negative stuff hits. So I would start with, oh, well, let me just breathe differently than I'm breathing right now. Let me
Okay.
stand differently than I'm standing right now. And, it's funny, you get upset, but if you just like lay on the ground, it changes the feeling. If you hang yourself upside down, off the couch or something, it's really hard to have an argument in the same way if both of you are upside down. And it's amazing. These little
like
changes
that.
can change.
No, to me, honestly, and I'm not making fun, that makes sense to me because we get into these modes, all right, because first off, we get into these defense modes. I got to protect myself, my being, and that thing. But if you can move yourself and extract yourself out from that, now I got to think different. I don't know where I'm at, and I'm going to act different, much like how I act on TV, and you would not be on TV if you think about it, right? I mean, you're being seen, so I totally understand that. Your book, Built for Freedom, folks can get it anywhere. Where can they find out more information?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website, thefreedomspecialist.com, that's listed there, as well as access to all of our podcasts and other programs, a chance to come to retreats and whatnot. Basically, I am trying to give people the best that I can give them. And my hope is by the end, they walk away with the sense that, wow, maybe nothing's wrong with me. Maybe I just haven't trained my system to produce anything but
Thank
this.
you, Bob. Thank you so much. Thefreedomspecialist.com. More after this.
Welcome back to the Daily Flash. I'm Matt Doolittle. It's time for us to be on the scene with Doreen. This week, Doreen is talking to 80s icon Lisa of the Cult Jam fame to find out what's going on with her and so much more.
This week on The Scene with Doreen, I got to catch up with one of the greatest pop divas to come out of the 1980s, the OG of freestyle music, Lisa of Lisa and Cult Jam. Check it out.
I have a lot of really great accomplished guests, but not many have made history. But you, on the other hand, you were the first Puerto Rican Latino artist to cross over to the pop and R&B charts. How blessed do you feel that you have that honor?
I'm blessed. I'm extremely honored. And I'll take that. Thank you so very much.
We'll take it too. I mean, you really, for an entire group of people, you paved the way. You opened doors that most people could never even dream of.
Yeah. First Latina artist to cross over, and I'm here for my people.
You've been essentially performing since the mid 80s. When you were just, teenager, very, very young. And you're still out there rocking cities on a national tour as we speak. Now, how do you stay in shape, both mentally and physically, for decades while on the road? I mean, that's a grueling life to do, and you've been doing it for over 30 years.
I think it's, it comes from homegrown. My mom, she was always about eat right and drink your water and take that craft and master it, And then I try very, very hard to surround myself with camaraderie. It has to be family, and I have to love you. You know, you have to come across as family to me. We always try to get people that are, you know, we can feel that they're into this and they're you know, about getting the job done and loving what they do. I work out a lot. I drink a lot of water, and my kids, my two boys, they keep me grounded.
What advice would you give to young performers who want to push musical boundaries based on your own experiences of blazing a trail for other artists? What would you tell the young artists right now?
That they're very lucky that they have social media. So take that craft and master it and put your music out there, because somebody will hear you. I didn't have any of that back then. So it was about getting my feet in that door and promote. But, you know, take that craft, master it, believe in yourself. It's about making people happy. For me, my music is my language.
So what's next for you, Lisa?
I have a book that we're writing right now that will be released. There's talk about this movie that I may be doing, a documentary, and so let's see what that comes about. But this touring is still on it. I got this fantastic band putting out great music and touring. I'm just trying to get it all in. Also, next year is the 40th anniversary of I Wonder If I Take You Home. We're putting together this tour. 40 days, 40 venues. It's going to be put together. Look out for that.
It was so great to be able to talk to Lisa, and she is such an inspiration to so many. Make sure to check me out each week right here at the Daily Flash. I'm The Scene with Doreen. See you next time.
Machine Gun Kelly fans are mourning the loss of his Cleveland-inspired chest tattoos, and others are accusing him of cultural appropriation after he recently revealed that he covered his upper torso with a massive black tattoo. The photo shows Kelly revealing his upper chest and most of his arms blacked out in ink. The 33-year-old baffled fans after covering up his colorful tribute to his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, that featured area codes and interstates.
That's a lot of ink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I guess what it used to look like now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't. The cultural appropriation, I can't say you do it. Lots of guys black out their tattoos that they don't want, but usually it's a reasoning behind it. And that had to have taken just. Imagine how long it took to just do that. First off.
I don't know about the tattoo. Do you have any tattoos?
I do not have tattoos. I do not like needles.
No. I can't imagine how much pain might have been involved in that whole tattooing
That's what I
process.
say. Now, let me tell you this, though. And I don't know. I would love to be the guy that can take two companies or two industries and kind of put them together. These the tattoo folks and the EpiPen folks need to get together. I had to do the EpiPen about 2 weeks ago, and I was scared to death, and so my wife had to do it, and then she did it. I'm like, all right, well, do it. And she goes, I already did it. And I'm like, you can't feel it at all. So why can't we make a tattoo gun that you can't feel? Am I right?
Bad idea. You're right.
All right. That's where forget going to the moon. We need a tattoo gun that doesn't hurt. And we'll have more tattoos everywhere.
What if we get a tattoo gun that can also prevent allergies?
I'm all game for that. That's wonderful.
The EpiTat.
The EpiTat. Actually, I love that name, the EpiTat. Right, we're buying that domain. Sorry, forget it, guys. That's our domain. We have more Flash coming up right around here. You're watching television's Daily Flash, trending news and entertainment.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Jackson.
And I'm Matt Doolittle in for Mitch English, who is finally off getting that transplant. I mean, I'm so happy for him. He finally found his inner self. And, you know, it'll be a surprise when we come back. See if you can tell the difference.
It's a good thing you're going on a honeymoon, because he's going to kill you when he gets back.
Hey, I got 10 days on the other side of the world. Come and get me, buddy.
True. This is true.
So we've all heard these AI stories. We did a story a couple days ago about them predicting your death date, right?
Yes.
Well, in London, one of the journalists over there did a thing where they speculated on the future lives of the royal family.
Ooh.
And so what
do tell.
what they said is that by 2049, Prince William, king, but he will abdicate the throne to give it to Prince George and take the crown. Like he'll step down early, and that Kate obviously they predicted Prince Harry's divorce.
Oh,
they said that that's inevitable in their future, and that would make Kate Middleton the queen mum and all that stuff. So that's what they're trying. They predicted that that's how it wants to go. They don't think that William wants to be king all the way to his death, and he doesn't want to see it end up like his father, who's like he's going to get like 3 years on the throne and be done. Like,
right, he waited like 70 years for this, and now he finally gets it, and he's like,
come on, Mom, kick the bucket over here. Let me have some time.
Yeah, I don't think the Meghan Markle Harry thing's going to last.
It can't.
Yeah.
That guy had a great life before she got in there and did all the meddling and made him move to Beverly Hills. Did you see that South Park episode where they made fun? We want our privacy, and they moved down the street from Oprah in L.A. Like you want privacy? Move to Montana.
Their worldwide privacy tour.
Yeah, worldwide privacy. We want our privacy, but I'm gonna write a book about everything, buddy. Like those two. The whole thing made no sense. Like, why would you give up the role? You don't have to do anything.
I know,
You get a bunch of money to show up and do this. Yeah.
You just have to follow a simple set of rules, which I'm sure they're not that simple.
I'm sure it's insane. I'm sure it's just so restrictive. He was the party one anyway. He was in Vegas running around naked. And I'd be doing the same thing if you're like, I'm not going to be king. What do I care?
Right. I'm like, 10th in line, so whatever. I'm going to use this to my advantage.
He's like, I'm the redhead anyway. I don't even know if that's my dad. I'm just going to party. Forget it. Well, a sister says she saw her brother's face for the first time after his death. It was transplanted onto someone else.
That's crazy.
60 Minutes Australia covered the story about Richard Norris, who was severely disfigured following an accident in 1997. He was only 22 years old at the time. Now, 15 years later, he was given a second chance after a family in Baltimore donated their 21-year-old son's face after he was run over by a car. The family heard about Norris and wanted to help carry out the first ever full face transplant. 3 years after the operation, Richard met the family.
Wow.
It doesn't look bad, and I'm glad they got to a point where these look, they help. I mean, I don't know what he looked like before, so obviously this is an improvement. But that would just be weird. Like if my dad came around the corner, and be like, God, no,
I know. I guess the question is, so many people are kind of on the fence when it comes to organ donation. I mean, obviously it's a good thing; it saves lives, but you can understand why people are a little bit hesitant.
I mean, I'm an organ donor. When my dad passed, his retinas, which he couldn't see anything. I don't know why they use them. They use those in a transplant, which I thought was great. We got a nice little award for it, or they send you a little plaque.
Yeah.
Because I was like, his glasses were this thick, and he could never see anything. Why would they want those? But I still was like, do I want to meet the guy with my dad's eyes and or retinas? I'm like, not really. I'm like, I'm good.
Oh God.
It's just a little bit. That would just be weird with the face thing. Like when it's somebody's heart or something, and they send them like a teddy bear with their heartbeat in it, or they can hear their kid's heartbeat in someone else. That's kind of a cool story. But the face thing,
but to
see
your
it,
sibling
like,
or of
it's
it's different for sure. Actor Nicolas Cage said his earliest memory was being inside his mother's womb. While most of us only have a hazy recollection of our time as a baby or a toddler, the actor claims his memory goes back way further. Hard to believe, but Cage thinks his first ever memory was actually being in utero just before he was even born. He recalled the moment while talking to Stephen Colbert. In other bizarre Nick Cage news, the actor spent a lot of his formative years believing he was an extraterrestrial and was actually shocked to find out that he was just a normal human being. In an interview in 2022, Cage explained that his father felt like he had to introduce himself to him because Nick was such an alien. There's never a dull moment.
He went through this period too. They did a documentary on it where he thought he was John Travolta. And he was running around. Did you see that?
Face Off?
Face Off, yes. They did a documentary. It was kind of like that last story. He mixed it together. He thought he was John Travolta for a little while there.
Oh, goodness. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts. DailyFlashShow.com.
Welcome back to the Daily Flash. I'm Matt Doolittle, and in Financially Speaking today, we take a look at how those Gen Zers have had a huge effect on the retail market and where they might be taking us. Is investment banker and contributor for Forbes.com is Richard Kestenbaum, a partner with Triangle Capital. Welcome, Richard.
Hi, Matt. Great to be here.
So who is Gen Z?
Well, Gen Z, there are a few definitions, but generally, Gen Z is somebody who was born between 1997 and 2008. Some would say 2010, but somewhere in that range. So they are people who are just coming into their ability to spend in meaningful amounts with their own discretion right now.
Now, I'm a Gen Xer. I grew up in malls. I loved going to the mall. That was my way to get away from my parents for a little bit and hang out with my friends. I like the stores, but do these Gen Zers like the stores?
You know, they really do. That is the surprise about Gen Z. They like shopping in stores more than previous generations do, and they rely on stores more than previous generations. But there are a few different things about them. First of all, they do more research on what they buy than previous generations, and they do it seamlessly between stores and online. These are the people who will go into a store, try on a product, and then buy it standing in the store on their mobile device. So to them, shifting between research and purchases, between physical and online virtual, is seamless. And they don't distinguish between the two. It's all one. There aren't two channels for them, there's only one.
And how is their shopping overall different from their parents? I mean, I know how we used to do it, but how are they shopping different? I mean, you mentioned that they already know what they want and what they're looking for, but how are they doing that differently?
Well, there are a few segments to this. You know, at some point, everyone is a price shopper, and there are some things for which everyone is a price shopper. But and they are limited in funds generally speaking, but as I was saying, they're just coming into their own discretionary income right now. What they want from purchases is personal values. They want brands that value the environment, that value the people that work for them, that have an efficient but environmentally sensitive supply chain. They want things that conform to their values. And when they find them, they are willing to pay full price. And that is the ticket to success. How can you convince those consumers that you share their values? And that is why young, new brands are able to build their value system into their foundation and succeed, and why legacy brands are finding it hard to adapt because when they try and talk about values, it doesn't feel authentic, and consumers see through that.
Is that what you're seeing a lot in the retail market? Is that the companies overall have to kind of adapt themselves to what these Gen Zers are looking for out there? Is that tough for them to keep up? I mean, we've seen a lot of these older retailers fall off and these newer ones just explode quickly.
Well, let me give you an example. TikTok. Gen Zers use TikTok the way older consumers use Google. That's their search engine. When they want a recipe, they don't Google it, they go to TikTok. When they want to find out what's interesting to see in a new place they're visiting, they don't go to Google, they go to TikTok. And you can't just take your content from Instagram and Facebook and put it on TikTok. It's a whole different approach. So Gen Z consumers don't want to see products marketed the way that legacy brands have done it in the past. And you have to do it in a way that reaches those consumers.
Awesome. Great advice there, Richard. I mean, a lot of this stuff, the market's changing so quickly, and I'm glad we have an expert like you to tell us all about it. And we'll be sure to have this up on our website at dailyflashshow.com. You can also check it out on our YouTube page. Just search Daily Flash Show. Click on the thing, hit subscribe, and you can see all of our behind the scenes content on there as well. Thank you, Richard.
Sports reporter Erin Andrews knows the importance of finding balance on the sidelines and keeping up with life's messes. Today, Erin joins us with more on her approach to keeping her busy life and family clean and organized for whatever comes her way. Hi, Erin.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's going great being a first-time mom. We're getting ready to have his first birthday coming up in a couple months, and we can't believe, like everybody says, oh my gosh, where did the time go? It went so fast. But it's been wild. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my partner. We've learned a lot about having to prioritize. I kind of thought when I was gonna have a baby, I was like, oh, I'll have a baby and still have, do my job the same way and all of that. And now it's trying to figure out the balance with all the things. That is why this partnership with Arm & Hammer is a no-brainer for me. Lots of messes in my house. Arm & Hammer, they have a new laundry detergent. It's called Deep Clean Detergent. It comes in a liquid form. It comes in a power pack form. Depends on your mood, how you want to use it. But the good news, it's their most powerful formula yet. It's affordable, which is huge for everyone, and it tackles two issues. Ready? Odors and stains, huge in my life with a baby. You've got your avocados, you've got your strawberries, you've got your blueberries, you've got your spaghetti sauce that is staining things, and also smelling fresh. And that's huge for me. When I'm mixing my workout clothes with my husband's workout clothes, I want them to actually smell good when I pull them out of the washing machine. And that's what our Deep Clean detergent does for you. They have this pH power technology that actually gets in between the fibers, cleans you up, you look good, you smell great. Well, I'm excited about a couple more months until the grind begins. Obviously, working with Arm & Hammer has been amazing, talking a lot about my female team apparel line Wear, our podcast, Calm Down with Erin and Carissa, but we're excited about a really fun year we have ahead. Tom Brady is joining us. We have our Super Bowl this year along with Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Rinaldi. And before we know it, we're going to wake up and be like, holy cow, it's week 1.
During May, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is reminding veterans to prioritize their mental health.
During May, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is reminding veterans to prioritize their mental health.
VA wants vets to know that mental health treatment works and recovery is possible. This Mental Health Month, the Today I Am campaign, is showing veterans that they are not alone if they're experiencing mental health challenges, and that with treatment, a better life is possible.
VA offers many different kinds of help. Reaching out is the first step.
On the Today I Am campaign website, veterans and their loved ones can explore the real and inspiring mental health care stories of their peers, learn about available resources, and see for themselves how support and treatment have allowed veterans like them to heal.
To hear these veteran stories, go to maketheconnection.net/MHM.
May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and once again, skincare brand La Roche-Posay is on a mission to educate the public about the importance of sun safety. In New York City, contributing lifestyle editor Joanne Butler has the story.
1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. But the good news is it is treatable if detected early. Better yet, completely preventable if you protect yourself. On a mission to spread that message, longtime leaders in sun protection, skincare brand La Roche-Posay, in partnership with TDS, the dermatologist specialists of New York City, were offering free head-to-toe skin cancer screenings to the public.
To kick off Skin Cancer Awareness Month, we are providing the public with free skin checks conducted by board-certified dermatologists, while also handing out free La Roche-Posay and Thilios sunscreen products, all with the goal to educate the public about sun safety and skin cancer prevention.
The brand says they've helped facilitate more than 500,000 skin exams by board-certified dermatologists over the last 10 years.
We found several skin cancers already. This is Melanoma May, so we want everyone to be really aware of skin cancer, any moles that have been changing, any non-healing wounds. Those are things we want to check out a little bit more closely.
It's about prevention, and also when melanoma is caught early, the 5-year survival rate is 99%. So really it's extremely important to get your moles checked annually.
Events like these, they say, help provide access to someone who may not visit a dermatologist regularly or have access to one.
The dermatology specialist is really proud to partner with La Roche. They've got sunscreen for all ages, and it's SPF 30 or higher. And that's the recommendation of the American Academy of Dermatology, to make sure you put something on in the morning. If you're doing a lot of splashing in the water, reapplication is necessary, but generally that should cover you throughout the entire day. Wear long, loose-fitting clothing, avoiding sun in between 11 and 2. Wide-brim hats is great.
The team says more than 90% of skin cancers, including melanoma, the most deadly type, are caused by sun exposure, and the sun's harmful rays can penetrate even through glass. So that means no matter where you are or what you're doing, if you're exposed to sunlight, you need to protect your skin, and remember, every day is a sunscreen day.
So for the American Cancer Society today, every skin check that is completed, we're donating $5 towards them. So that's happening throughout the summer.
For more info on sun safety, visit larocheposay.us/saveourskin.
20 million pets live in poverty with their families in the United States, and 70% of those pets have never seen a veterinarian. Joining us now to discuss is Kitty Block, President and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States.
So the mission and the goals of the More Than a Pet campaign is about keeping people and pets together. The bond between animals and their pets, the families, it's incredible. We all know this. We all know what it's like to have unconditional love. They're our family. And it's about raising awareness of this crisis and getting them the resources they need, working with us to get the resources that these animals need so they can stay together with their families. We need everyone's help, and that's what's so wonderful about the work we're doing. You can be a hero in your own community. There are so many little steps that you can take that add up and have a huge impact for your neighbors and for their animals. You can go to humanesociety.org/morethanapet to get more information about how you can join this incredible campaign, learn what we're doing, and how you yourself can be a support in your community.
All right, and now great advice for women to be up to date on their health. Here's more.
May's National Women's Health Awareness Month.
We're encouraging women to take control of their health by making sure they schedule their annual physical, skin cancer, and OBGYN exams. Healthcare is moving towards empowerment and self-sufficiency. We're seeing more over-the-counter access to medications. Most recently, there's Opill, America's first and only FDA-approved over-the-counter birth control pill. It's 98% effective when taken as directed.
Visit opill.com to learn more.
What is KSA Entertainment? It's trending news, entertainment, lifestyle. KSA Entertainment. Culture. It's love. It's food. It's family. KSA. It's life. It's shopping. It's empowerment. KSA. KSA Entertainment. It's fitness. It's travel. KSA. It's fun. It's engaging. It's Daily Flash. Daily Flash Latino. Life, love, shopping. This is KSA Entertainment.
Welcome back to The Big Show. He's Knuff already for the Academy Awards.
Yes.
We're talking about Ryan Gosling. He's actually going to perform his Oscar-nominated Barbie song, I'm Just Ken, at the upcoming 96th ceremony. Gosling said he initially thought of turning down the role of Ken in the Barbie movie, which has grossed already $1.4 billion.
Jeez.
Here's a fun fact. The mink that Ken wears is actually a tribute to the 80s era of Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, really?
Gosling also said he got a lot of inspiration for his version of Ken from watching The Bachelorette. I love that. All right, Oscar's coming up March 10th, so you can check that out.
Sunday.
There he is, right there.
Yeah.
And everybody forgets he was in Mickey Mouse Club, and he's
Was he really?
Yeah, him with Brittany and all them stuff. He was a Mouseketeer. Which, because you look at him, you're like, he's a good-looking guy, so he's an actor. But he can act. We know that he can sing and act and dance and do all that stuff.
I have the biggest crush. He's one of my movie crushes. I love him. That movie, Crazy Stupid Love.
Yes.
I am so in love with that character. He was so good in that movie, and I feel like he's good in everything.
He is. I would think. And when I did the junket for that one, and he was there, and he brought his dog. And his dog was just as chill as he was. But the whole time, I'm like just looking down. He was like. He needed the dog there. It felt like a comfort thing. Like he was uncomfortable. I felt the vibe that he not that I make people uncomfortable. Maybe I do.
No, but maybe just the junket in general.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I got to
interview
do this.
process.
I want to get out. But this dog was just this gorgeous golden retriever, and it was amazing.
If I recall, he and Rachel McAdams dated for a while.
That sounds right.
Wasn't she in that one real depressing movie about the couple? I can't think of it. But anyway, I remember we were talking about them possibly.
The Notebook? Yes,
Thank you, The Notebook. And I remember us talking about them potentially being engaged, and we got a message from someone, a viewer, and I always wondered if it was Ryan Gosling saying, you should do your research because they're not really engaged. And I'm like, who would know that?
Either the publicist or Ryan himself. I'm thinking about probably the publicist.
Probably, yeah.
And I think honestly, he seems to me he's just a normal, cool guy that just has a cool job. And he enjoys what he does. Yeah. And he's going to be Colt Seavers in The Fall Guy as well. Yeah,
that's right. That movie's coming out soon too.
So excited about that!
I can't wait to see that. Yes,
love it.
Oh my goodness,
got excited. Just came in my mind. That does it for our show. Thank you so much for joining and spending time with us.
Yeah. For more information on any of today's stories, be sure to visit our website, dailyflashshow.com. We'll have everything there for you, from the interviews to all the information. And we'll be there for you too.
Y'all take care. We'll see you when we look at you. Bye-bye.